So we're looking at what InDesign is. It's important to understand where it fits into the communication design and graphic design field. So let's have a look at the different software applications and how they fit into the whole workflow. So I've split this diagram into two areas: office automation and commercial printing or publishing. So what do we need when we create a layout, like a magazine layout or even a newspaper layout? We need text, things like headings, subheadings, paragraphs, pull quotes, lists, tables. And we need graphics, photos, icons, illustrations, diagrams, logos. We also need some kind of multi-page document handling, so automatic page numbering, handling of large amounts of pages and high-resolution graphics, and a consistent styling throughout. So you might be thinking, well, I could use Word to do something like that. And you could if you wanted to keep it to a simple kind of project style document. If you want to do a complex magazine style layout, then good luck using Word for that. I'm sure you've experienced that situation where you've done a layout in Word and it's very unstable. It's very difficult to wrangle things into exactly the way that you want it to look. And that's because Word was never designed as a layout application. It is a word processing application with a few extra things. It will never be a suitable piece of software for complex and professional level layout. You should already know how to process your photos and create your graphics. You could use Photoshop to do all your heavy lifting with your photos. You could use Illustrator for your illustrations, your logos, your icons, things like that. Of course, there are other applications on the market that can also do that, but Photoshop and Illustrator are the industry standards. So where InDesign fits into this is this box here, which is professional layout design. So complex arrangement of text, photos, and graphics, stable layouts based on grids and columns, which is how professional layouts designers work, graphic design and commercial level layouts, and finally commercial print preparation. So InDesign is designed specifically for the print industry. Office is not. Office does not work in CMYK. You cannot take an Office document and pre-flight it for print without a lot of effort. So InDesign fits into that niche market where it brings together your photos, your Illustrator graphics, it brings your text. You could even bring your text in from Microsoft Word, but it allows you to then put it all together into a layout. And that is the niche market for InDesign. Let's have a look here. So this is how things used to work. So before we had InDesign, or even the digital layout software, when someone was laying out a magazine or newspaper, they would use something called a dummy, which is basically like a series of columns and rows. And they would take that and they would then draw on top of that the boxes representing the pictures and the text and all of that stuff. So here's an example here of a dummy for this newspaper layout. You can see that wherever there's a box for an image, it's got a cross through it. So that's the notation to say the image goes here. Wherever there's text, there's little squiggly lines saying this text takes up one column here, this text takes up 5 columns, and so on. And so this dummy would be created so that then the actual content would be put in following the plan of that dummy. This comes from a wonderful book that I've had for many years. It's called the Newspaper Designer's Handbook. And I think it's still in print, but this one is so old it even came with a CD-ROM. But it's a fantastic book if you want to learn a little bit more about print technology and publishing. It's always important to know the context of where you are in terms of using your software. So InDesign has taken this metaphor of creating a dummy and they made it a digital thing. So if we have a look here, you'll see that I have essentially a dummy made in InDesign. I've got a 2-column system with margins. I've got boxes for text taking up a certain number of columns. I've got boxes for images with crosses through them. And so InDesign is working in the same way. Basically, you make boxes, you arrange them, and then you put stuff in those boxes. That's how InDesign works. And this is a very simple layout. So that's the actual layout. It's from VC Magazine, the latest issue. And it's a simple layout, but the dummy would look something like that. So a dummy is kind of like a wireframe of the layout of the magazine. So that's really how InDesign fits into it, is you make boxes for all of your stuff. You put your stuff in those boxes, and then you use all of the extra tools to make it look professional. Even with a simple layout like this, you would struggle to do this in a program like Microsoft Word. You could do it in Illustrator, but then if this is part of maybe a 120-page magazine, Illustrator is not going to handle that so well. So InDesign has that niche market, and that's where it fits in. It's worthwhile learning it because it's very powerful for page management and even e-publishing and stuff like that.